let's move on to what was it was the most exciting game of the weekend. There's just little to no doubt about this. Um, Bama fans, if you're tuning into this, Auburn fans, if you're tuning into this, welcome to the First and Long College Football Show. Um, we are so glad that you're here. You just watched one of the best football games that you could see. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. You saw a little bit of everything in this football game. Milroe shows off his arms and his legs. He does his thing, his arm and his legs, I should say. But Auburn has 240 rushing yards, 5.8 yards per rush. They had something schemed up for this Bama defense. There is zero doubt about it. Hugh Freeze, evil scientist Freeze, got into his lab and worked something up. And we all know about Auburn losing to New Mexico State last week. Maybe this was them looking forward to this game, licking their chops at a chance at what they would consider the better team. Obviously, the higher ranked team. Auburn was a very big underdog. I stayed away from this game betting wise this week because of this reason, and because it was at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Voodoo magic crap happens there, man. It is wild. But this time, the magic happened for Bama, as Jalen Milroe on 4th and 31 drops back. Auburn only rushes a couple guys, left a spy, zero pressure on Milroe. He held the ball for 6-7 seconds and chunked it to the corner of the end zone, and it couldn't have been a more perfect throw and catch. And Alabama wins the game, man. It was absolutely incredible. You live reacted to this. You didn't watch the game in live action. You watched it on replay for everybody to see. So if you're interested in watching the highlights, most of everybody watches the highlights anyway, especially Bama fans after a big win like that. Congratulations. You go watch it with First and Long. We've got the highlight there with Mason here, and he's giving you the live reaction as the game was going on. So, Mason, what did you think about this year's version of the Iron Bowl? It was just as crazy as some of the craziest years we can remember.
Yeah, absolutely. This will definitely go down as one of the biggest wins in the Iron Bowl history. But what's crazy is, like, I was thinking about it, and I know we typically fall victim of having recency bias. This is still probably like in the top 10 in the Iron Bowl history, but like it's not number one, that's what's so crazy about this rivalry is big moments tend to happen. And it's usually very good football to watch, and it did not disappoint. This year, I think it was a little bit different because I can't remember there being a bigger discrepancy in the talent gap, as there is right now. I mean, Auburn, they've not recruited well for probably 5 seasons now, and Alabama is recruiting as good as ever. So they've got the best, the most talented roster in football, going up against probably lower half in the SEC. So, from a talent perspective, I thought it was very interesting that Auburn was very much in this game and really could have won it at home. For Auburn, I think that there were some really good things to take away. Peyton Thorne only 91 yards through the air. I think that obviously has to get better. Did throw 2 interceptions. Not a great game through the air, but what he failed to do through the air, he made up for with his legs. He had 57 yards, and that's including his sacks and everything. He was plus 57. And I thought that he extended drives when they needed him to. We saw Peyton Thorne do this against Georgia as well. That was kind of the first week where we saw him get these quarterback draws as a part of their package for him. And this week it came back, and man, he was really effective with it. And especially on third down, it seemed like he was really effective on third down. And some big plays happened. It was pretty magical for Auburn, but just not quite enough. as on 3rd and 31, like you mentioned, third and goal, but 31 yards to go. Jalen Milroe kind of ends the Auburn Tigers regular season with a huge pass and touchdown and won the game. It was really an amazing connection between Milroe and Isaiah Bond. And now Isaiah Bond can kind of etch his name into the lore and the history of Alabama football, as he comes up with the biggest catch of his career so far. I thought it was a really impressive game for Auburn, and I think that if you're a Crimson Tide fan, you're happy to get a win in the Iron Bowl. You know what this means to the state and to the program to beat Auburn. You're in a rivalry game, but I also think that in this game, like Alabama is supposed to win it. They're supposed to win this game against Auburn from a talent perspective, right? You should win this game. Alabama steps on the field and they know that they should win every game, but more so in this case with a first-year head coach and Hugh Freeze. I mentioned the talent discrepancy. It's only going to get harder for Alabama to win these games against the Tigers. And I thought that they left a lot to be desired. Offensively, I mean, Jalen Milroe was fine, through the air. He had 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Great game through the air. Rushing, he was 18 carries, 107 yards. I mean, guy was doing it all. But he was having to do it all. And that was kind of the issue, is it was all Jalen Milroe. And we've seen this in recent years with Alabama. Last year, we saw it a lot, and where it seems like the quarterback is just having to run the entire offense and he's not getting much help. I saw that a lot in this game where he's kind of running for his life and extending drives and making plays, but that's kind of what we've come to expect the Alabama offense to be at this point, unfortunately. Defensively, I thought that it was interesting for Alabama that we didn't see better run protection and run stopping. That was interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I think that, a lot of that is because you don't really expect Peyton Thorne to run. They ended up having to spy him sort of later in the game because of it. But I think that Hugh Freeze and Auburn definitely had a good game plan going against Alabama and this tough defense. And it showed, Alabama's defense definitely did not come to play, it seemed like. What did you think about Alabama's defense in this game? Did you see the same holes that I was seeing, or was this more of just Auburn kind of, playing their heart out?
Well, I think it was a really good scheme from Auburn, but the old trusty Markism here is you score 30, you should win. You score less than that, you're leaving it up to the other team.
Yeah.
And bad teams figure out a way to lose games, and Auburn figured out a way to lose this one. I'm just being honest. I mean, you say what you want to say. It was 4th and 31. There's absolutely no reason. There were guys lined up on the end zone line. There's absolutely no reason any receiver should be getting behind anybody.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, yes, I did see issues, but my issue was more so with the offense. I know Auburn's got a decent defense, but Jalen Milroe had a brilliant day. He really did. As you said, I mean, not necessarily passing. I mean, he was only 16 of 24, so not the most efficient passing day, but he had 259 yards. 250 plus is like the cutoff. That's a good performance for a quarterback in college, period. Just not getting any help, man. McClellan, 66 yards rushing. Williams, 30 yards rushing. Both of those guys under 5 yards a carry. Jermaine Burton did his thing. He whenever his number was called, he did his thing. But beyond Isaiah Bond making the last catch of the game, it was a ghost town for these wide receivers. There was no help. And not to mention, Milroe's averages, his rushing averages would have been higher too if you take out sacks. I mean, they were been able to get back there, and so I still see some issues with this offensive line for Alabama. They're just okay at pass protect. They're not good at run blocking. They're just not. And these wide receivers are kind of mediocre, in my opinion. Um, Milroe is lightning in a bottle. He is lightning in a bottle. We have seen this guy grow as the year has went on. I even had so much as had an Alabama fan comment before the game this weekend now, and say that Milroe should be in the Heisman ceremony. And I don't agree with that sentiment at all. But the point was the growth that has been seen this year, it has been substantial.
Yeah.
And the fact that they are able to put a game on his shoulders and him win it for the team, I think says a lot, especially in the Iron Bowl. So congratulations to Alabama fans. That was a big win. Now we're getting set up for our matchup between Alabama and Georgia in Atlanta. And, you know, we saw this run game from Auburn when Georgia played Auburn. They have no ability to throw the ball, and I think defenses are able to sit back and kind of play to that. But I just would have expected to see more scoring out of Alabama in this game at this point in
Mhm.
the season. But man, it's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. Would never advise betting on the Iron Bowl. I just wouldn't. Anything else on this game?
No, you mentioned the offensive line for Alabama. The only thing that I'll say is they have gotten better as the season's gone along, particularly in pass pro. Because if you recall,
Oh yeah,
early
they
in the
gotten better.
season, oh yeah, earlier in the season, we were comparing them to Colorado's pass protection. I mean, it was that bad.
Yeah.
I think that they've kind of created some good pockets for Milroe. And also, it was Auburn. Auburn, as for as good as their secondary is, their front seven is not good.
Yeah.
And I think that really showed in this game, which is kind of why I thought that Alabama would be a little bit better on the ground. Chase McClellan had 66 yards on 15 carries. Roydell Williams 8 carries, 30 yards, and a touchdown. I thought that was somewhere that they could exploit Auburn a little bit more. Jalen Milroe was able to, obviously, but I would have liked to have seen more rushing from Auburn as a whole.
All our
I mean,
West
from
Coast
Alabama,
friends,
excuse me.
if you missed this game, go back and watch the live reaction that'll be posted here in just a bit. That was a great college football game, no doubt about it.